Back in December 2021, Nintendo released Big Brain Academy Brain vs. Brain for Switch, marking the first time they've published a brain training game worldwide on the system. But this isn't the first brain game from Nintendo on Switch. Back in 2019, they came out with a new Brain Age, it just never arrived in North America. Released under the name Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training for Nintendo Switch, Brain Age 4 is a continuation of the series that dominated on DS and absolutely flopped on 3DS. And if you're wondering exactly how Brain Age works on a Nintendo Switch, it includes a stylus, and I know you're just as excited about that as I am. The prevailing theory as to why Brain Age never made it to North America is that Nintendo didn't want to deal with any potential legal ramifications over claims that their game actually makes you smarter. Whatever the case, I'm here to determine which of these two brain training games on Switch makes you smarter. Brain Age or Big Brain Academy. And if Brain Age does win in the end and you want to buy it, keep in mind that the Switch is region free, so you can import it and play it without any issues. First off, I played Brain Age to determine the age of my brain. Now, I know what you're thinking. Brains sure do look tasty, and my movement speed has reduced to walking ever since I let that weird girl bite me. And the answer is yes, I am very smart. Genius level intellect, actually. But for the sake of this video, I will hide that. So if you notice any errors in my gameplay, it is all intentional. Definitely, for sure, no doubt, Gwen Stefani. Because you have to do a Brain Age check in handheld mode, which is vertical and very difficult to record, I decided just to measure my skills in Quick Play, which features a few different activities. The best score in Brain Age is 20, so anything higher than that and you dumb. The first activity was rock, paper, scissors, and I scored an 80. I was surprised by how well the IR camera and the Joy-Con works recognizing your hand shape though. I never ever had a single issue with the game recognizing my move. For finger calculations though, you hold up fingers from 1 to 5 to make the answer, the IR camera had trouble differentiating 4 from 3, so that delayed me a bit. Finger drills was up next, and yeah, that's not the most appropriate name ever. It's basically just rock, paper, scissors, except you match the shape on screen. They threw in a thumbs up at the end, and that's where there were a few hiccups with the IR camera. Otherwise, it was perfect. There's also a few multiplayer things you can do. Bird watching is exactly what it sounds like, you just count birds. That's it. Flag raising has you moving the Joy-Con in the same sequence as the flag bearer. The Joy-Con work here is finicky, and even I got frustrated at times, so it's probably not the best thing to play with others. And finally, we have box counting, which is the most trolly mode I've ever played. It's essentially bird watching, except the boxes only appear for a split second sometimes, and they might zoom around the screen. And I mean, look at this one. How are you supposed to accurately guess that quickly? It's insane. They're just trolling you. And that's it for the quick training. It's super bare bones, and there's barely any reason to check it out, so I did daily training in handheld mode using the stylus next, so forgive the fact that everything's vertical just like the DS versions. Depending on the test the game gives you though, you might have to turn it horizontally almost immediately to play rock, paper, scissors. Super intuitive, I know. To determine your brain age, the game throws 3 random tests at you featuring self-control, processing speed, and short-term memory. Even with me throwing the last test of short-term memory because it's absolutely diabolical, and has you memorizing words for 2 minutes, then trying to write them out, which is something the game isn't perfect at picking up because the letter recognition is not perfect, I still managed a brain age of 58. And that is the core of the game. Even though it doesn't have train your brain in minutes a day in the title anymore, this is brain age as you remember it. You play it once per day for a few minutes, get your brain age score, and unlock a few side pieces to mess around with along the way. And those side pieces are where I spent the most time. Germ Blaster is just Dr. Mario with stylus controls, and it delivers exactly what you want from a Dr. Mario on Switch with stylus controls. It has germ busting and a few difficulty modes. What more could you ask for? Of course, tons of Sudoku puzzles are also included alongside several other activities you can unlock by doing a daily brain age check. Sudoku took up most of my playtime, and I noticed I was getting better with each and every puzzle. It is annoying when the game can't read your 2 or your 5 properly though, and it counts it as a miss, but those annoyances aside, I quickly became a Sudoku master in the beginner category. Now, one of the good things about Brain Age is also one of the bad things. Like Jill Valentine, you're constantly unlocking things. The good is that you feel that sense of reward for doing your daily Brain Age test. The bad is that it means the opening content in Brain Age is super lacking. Plus, the unlock schedule is inconsistent. You'll get new things every day for the first few days, then suddenly it's every 2 days. If you're impatient like me though, you can adjust the Switch's in-game calendar and skip all that pesky waiting. But even if you use that workaround, you do still have to get a Brain Age score of 20 to unlock one of the modes. They definitely do make you work for it. I will be honest though, my initial assessment of Brain Age was that it sucked compared to Big Brain Academy. After a few hours with each though, that flipped. Brain Age offers so much more content, especially for solo players, while Big Brain Academy is pretty much just you see what you get, and the lasting appeal depends on whether you have friends or family to play with locally. I wouldn't call either game a masterpiece, but I consistently kept going back to Brain Age over Big Brain Academy. Oh, and I do have to mention the stylus you get with Brain Age. I know it's kind of weird to give so much praise to a stylus, but the weight on it is amazing, it's thick and feels expensive, and the end of the stylus is super soft and squishy. I never once felt like I'd be damaging the Switch screen. Honestly, it is by far the best stylus Nintendo has ever made. Now for the game Nintendo actually wants you to play, Big Brain Academy. Instead of determining your brain age, for legal purposes, Big Brain Academy measures your big brain brawn. It's very different than your brain age. If you want to play with yourself, you can enter into practice and choose from a selection of 20 games divided into categories: identify, memorize, analyze, compute, and visualize. By doing well and completing those quizzes, you'll earn cosmetics and medals. When I first started playing, I saw the quality difference between Brain Age and Big Brain Academy almost immediately. Big Brain Academy is more based on learning while having fun instead of just learning. The games in Academy are definitely more fun, more fast-paced, and in this world of instant gratification, even unlocking useless cosmetics and medals is more fun than the self-improvements and self-satisfaction you get from Brain Age. I mean, who wants to be proud of themselves when you can have a digital Hawaiian shirt? Because Big Brain Academy is so vastly different to Brain Age, you can do a test to measure your brain's brawn by doing activities in 5 categories. Again, very different from Brain Age's test with only 3 categories. In all seriousness, this is still more fun than Brain Age. Brain Age just feels so clinical, like the game actually cares about you. Big Brain Academy is just about having fun, and training your brain is a happy side effect. Sort of like how alcohol makes you feel like you can totally do a backflip, but water improves your health. When the test was finally over, Professor Professorson rubbed it in my face that he has a brain brawn of 3,300, and the average person just starting out would be around 1,500. Naturally, I scored a 2,700 because, again, genius. Oh, and it gives you a brain grade 2 for some reason. I was an A++. There's also an online Ghost Clash mode where you can face off against other players' ghosts, but that mode requires you to have a Nintendo Switch Online membership, and I'm not giving Nintendo more money if I don't have to. But as fun as single player is for an hour or two, it begins to wear real thin. Clearly, the main draw of Big Brain Academy is the local multiplayer. I played it a bit over the holidays and the results were definitely fun. Big Brain Academy is definitely designed to be played with other people, sort of like how you can play Mario Party with yourself, but you won't have nearly as much fun until you play with other people. Simply in terms of fun factor, Big Brain Academy has Brain Age beat. Plus, if you're playing with somebody much dumber than you, you can adjust each person's level in multiplayer so it's not totally lopsided. I don't have gameplay of this, so you'll just have to trust me that I was the one on the higher difficulty level. Now, before I answer the question in the title of the video, I do need to highlight one final thing about Big Brain Academy. In solo, the main goal is to get a gold medal on every single one of the exercises to unlock the secret bonus mode. 18 of the 20 exercises I was able to gold medal on my first or second try. But then we have Frame Filler and Match Blast. These were created by Satan in the pits of hell to make you feel like an idiot. With Frame Filler, the goal is simple, fill in the blank, but it's much more challenging than you think. Sure, they start you off easy, then it gets cruel. Eventually, I started to get in my head with these exercises and question my own smartness, but after about 10 attempts, I finally got the gold medal in Frame Filler. That left Match Blast. In Match Blast, you break blocks to recreate the shape at the top. It's another one of those games where it starts off simple, you get cocky, and then they slap you in the face with a wet fish when you begin to believe in yourself. The goal is to get a score of 400, and I struggled to cross 300 for the longest time. Naturally, I began to question myself. 18 of the 20 games are easy to learn and fairly easy to master, but these two? Why, Nintendo? Why would you do this to me? Just because I won't pay for a Switch Online membership? It's not my fault it isn't worth it to me. I bought all your old games on Wii and you didn't make them forwards compatible. Why would I pay a yearly fee to replay them? Anyways, after much perseverance and about 15 attempts, I finally showed that smug professor who's boss and unlocked super practice. Oh dear god, no. Instead of starting at Sprout class in the activities, now you start at advanced class. Since I'm smart enough now to know that I don't enjoy being tortured, well, at least not when it comes to video games, I decided to just call it there. I'd played enough of Big Brain Academy solo to know what it offers, and I mean, it's a good thing I'm so smart, otherwise I might have spent hours trying to impress the professor who doesn't actually care about me and only wants to inflate his own fragile little ego. But after making that decision, the thin amount of content in Big Brain Academy showed itself. Unless you want to keep replaying the same 20 activities, most of them are enjoyable, I'll admit, just not very deep. There isn't a lot to do on the solo side. Sure, you can challenge friends and strangers around the internet with your ghost, but it's still the same 20 activities. Obviously, the local multiplayer is where you'll spend most of your time if you can, but that relies on you having people to actually play with. And for those of you wondering, you can play Big Brain Academy with the Joy-Con or the touchscreen if that's what you prefer. I think it was designed to work with your finger because I used the stylus that came with Brain Age and it never really registered things perfectly. I always felt like I had to do an extra tap, which was a minor inconvenience. So, to answer the question in the title, Brain Age is the clear winner. It is definitely the one that will make you smarter. If you're willing to put in the effort and play Brain Age every day, it is by far the better option for embiggening your brain, but it doesn't feel like much of a step up from the DS games. However, if you want more of a multiplayer party game with a learning focus that you can play with friends and family, or even against ghosts of other people, get Big Brain Academy. Just expect to have more fun in Big Brain Academy instead of actually making your brain grow in size. I think that's how intelligence works anyways. And if it is, that'll just make our brains that much juicier for the inevitable zombie apocalypse. And that's a win-win if you ask me.